The human psyche works in such a way that it reacts most strongly to negative irritants such as unwanted information, hostility, danger, or any other form of negative energy. Of course, positive influences can also stir strong emotions, but the intensity and force of emotions like fear and rage by far outweigh those of joy and happiness. The reason for this originates in ancient times when fear and rage were crucial to survival. What use is joy in a context like that? Joy is not as useful when it comes to defending yourself, avoiding danger, and scavenging for food. In addition, throughout the entire history of humanity, life has been filled with burden and hardship that have brought more grief and fear than joy and happiness. Even the way we mark our historical timelines, it's always acts of travesty: Pearl Harbor, 9/11, wars on wars, pandemics, economic turmoil, etc. This generally speaks to why man turns to thoughts of gloom and depression while feelings of joy and happiness pass relatively quickly. Have you ever heard of a normal person suffering from too much joy? People who suffer from stress and depression, however, can be found in good number wherever you look.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities, Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and
False news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This is extremely dangerous to our
Alright, enough of that, we get it. This is extremely dangerous to our democracy. Negative news stories like catastrophes, natural disasters, or conflicts follow a predictable pattern. They start with a dramatic headline, gradually build tension with unfolding details, and peak with high emotions before resolving, releasing that emotional energy. This wave-like cycle hooks viewers, creating a temporary calm before the next drama. TV series use the same pattern. Despite offering nothing objectively special, the build-up and release draw you in. After just a few episodes, you're hooked, not because the content, but because your thought energy is caught by the pendulum of the show, locking your attention onto that sector of the alt space. This is the mechanism that winds the spiral mentioned previously. First is the initial trigger. The individual is confronted with a piece of news that may or may not be disturbing. This is the pendulum's first prod. The news story is the destructive pendulum's initial push, enticing a reaction. If the person is affected, they begin to think and express emotions about the event. If affected, then the person's thoughts resonate with the pendulum, radiating energy at the same frequency. By reacting, the person becomes part of the broader collective response to the event via social media or talking to people in real life. The media continues covering the story, feeding the pendulum further, reinforcing the negativity over the airwaves. Then the individual continues to follow the story and the way that it unfolds and develops, unintentionally feeding more energy to the pendulum. They then can't help but become absorbed in the narrative, even if passively becoming part of the pendulum's energy loop. Finally, the pendulum sustains itself by drawing energy from the adherent, who unknowingly continues to contribute. At first glance, it doesn't look as if anything untoward has happened. Watching the news is a matter of course. So what if a person gives a bit of their energy to a destructive pendulum? It's not as if it will affect their health. At least, that's what one would hope. When a person begins to focus on negative events or thoughts, their energy begins to resonate at the same frequency as those negative events. As their energy aligns with negativity, they move closer to lifelines where similar negative events are more frequent. This means they experience more of what they're focusing on. As they become more entangled in these negative events, the negative energy creates a spiral effect, pulling them deeper into observing more similar scenarios. The person's focus narrows and they start noticing similar negative events everywhere, reinforcing their belief in the negativity. Their interactions with others amplify this effect as they discuss these events. The pendulum gains more energy as the person feeds it with attention, pulling them deeper into the situation. Finally, the person becomes an active participant in the negative life path, where the negative event or a similar scenario affects them personally. Ultimately, being drawn into a destructive pendulum's influence can lead to an induced transition to a negative lifeline. When someone reacts to a pendulum's initial provocation, they exchange energy with it, aligning their vibration with the pendulum's frequency. This alignment causes a shift to a lifeline where negative events manifest in their reality. The main takeaway of this lesson is to not let any negative information into your layer of the world. Intentionally ignore it, deprive it of attention, don't engage with interest.